Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the gym. It is your guy Boulanger. Up next on the GM, it's all in the books. The Baltimore Ravens wrap up mandatory minicamp. Do me a quick favor, hit like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Let's talk about it. So the Baltimore Ravens wrap up day 3 of mandatory minicamp, and the biggest takeaway that I have is they ended the whole thing healthy. When you think about mandatory minicamp from years past, there has been some health concerns. Even last year, there were some questions about JK. There were some questions about Ty Bowser, and we end up losing both of those guys for the entire season. So we get out of mandatory minicamp with no additional injuries than those we went into minicamp with. Keaton Mitchell, Kyle Hamilton recovering from an elbow procedure, and Marlon Humphrey, some up and down questions with his health. But other than that, I think the Ravens' health is mostly intact. So that's really the biggest thing. Day number 3, man, was kind of a light practice. Guys were just having some fun, joking around, and they got in, did their work, and just developed some additional camaraderie. One thing that I really appreciate hearing from yesterday is that Lamar Jackson and Devontae Walker connected on a deep touchdown pass. Devontae Walker was a name I was really listening for, and so super glad to hear him come up with a big time play yesterday. There was a lot made about Lamar Jackson finding Rashad Bateman, and it sounded like just on one pass, but at least they did make a connection. Those two, Lamar and Rashad, they have to be joined at the hip. One of the subscribers made that comment. They have to be joined at the hip between now and training camp. They cannot come into training camp without having some workouts in between, several workouts in between. They have to develop a level of chemistry, especially if Bateman is going to be the clear-cut number 2 wide receiver on this roster. Um, nothing major from yesterday. So let's just talk about what we learned from all of the off-season workouts, voluntary and also the mandatory. Several names that we continue to hear was Trenton Simpson, a guy who's going to play a big role in the Baltimore Ravens' defensive success. A guy who put on display explosiveness, athleticism, and speed. Uh, uh, a high level of cover ability, and that's going to bode well for our defense because sometimes we struggled with Patrick Queen in coverage. Although Patrick Queen improved, but Trenton Simpson came in to last year's draft as probably the best cover guy in that draft. And when you add his speed on top of that, man, it could really raise the level of play from the front seven. Um, so super excited, man, to see what Trent Simpson gets done in training camp if he can continue this forward progress. Another guy that we hear a lot of buzz about was Tavius Robinson, a guy who comes in looking bigger and stronger. I think he's going to play a real pivotal role off the edge. He could even compete for a starter role. So super excited, man, about to continue to hear about Tavius Robinson and how he's looking. It's pretty amazing that a guy that young would take his work serious enough to build and put on weight and mass and girth and strength and come in to voluntary mini camp and then mandatory mini camp in the best shape maybe of his whole career. So great to hear about Tavius Robinson. We definitely hear about Roquan Smith's leadership. Marcus Williams has stepped up to the leadership role as well. Some savvy vets, so glad to hear. Hopefully, Marcus Williams can stay healthy in the 2024 season. I would love to see what he can do when he's healthy because he hasn't had any leg injuries. His injuries have been upper body injuries, so hopefully he can put it all together in his third year in Baltimore. But glad to hear about their leadership skills. Brandon Stevens has had a good off season, kind of still in the right place, right time type of guy. Hoping that the Baltimore Ravens see fit to go ahead and get a deal done with him and keep him uh, as a part of this defense. Darius Washington, still a young guy who was said to be in great coverage all offseason workout. No matter who he was covering, whether it was a wide receiver or a tight end, he was kind of in right place. Although he may have gave up the catch because he is a smaller guy. I still like to hear that he was in the right place. Arthur Millette, a guy that the Baltimore Ravens signed to a 2-year extension. He made some good plays this offseason workout. Heard about Travis Jones being, fast and showing off his quickness. And so these are all guys, all young guys who are going to play a big time role on this Ravens defense. Of course, we heard about the rookies that we drafted, Nate Wiggins and TJ Tampa, both showing up and showing what they can do on the field. So hopefully, all of these guys from the defense can put it together and be ready to go in training camp and continue that forward momentum. So what we've learned is that our guys defensively are ready to roll as much as they can be in June. When we jump to the offense side of the ball, of course, Lamar Jackson um, early on in offseason workouts was in and out, and of course, he showed up for all 3 days. Had a on and off day his first day, but as the week progressed, day 2 and day 3, he got better. He was super efficient on all 3 days. And it sounds like he connected with several receivers. Like I said earlier, him and Bate are going to have to get some work done this off season between June and training camp because that is a relationship that has to be established and show up on the field. Um, the tight ends, the Baltimore Ravens tight ends, all three of them, Mark, Isaiah, and Charlie, I think we can talk about them on first name basis. I think that they put on the best offensive performance when it comes to playmaking, athleticism, showing what they can do. And of course, Derrick Henry is learning the offense. And so I think that if the offensive line comes together, which we'll have to learn about in training camp, I think that Derrick Henry will be a welcomed and beneficial addition to this team. So I think what we've learned offensively is that it's going to be a work in progress, but I think they're going to have to hit the ground running in training camp. Not that they won't learn in training camp, but they're going to have to come in and know exactly what they're doing, where they need to be, because the skill positions are going to have to know so that the offensive linemen can be ready to roll as we are replacing 3 of 5 starters. Um, I don't really see the Baltimore Ravens making any super big additions to this team between now and training camp. Maybe they may add a safety. I don't think they add anything in the pass rush department as we are stockpiled there. Although we don't have a number one guy per se, I don't think that there is a number one guy out there, and I don't think that there will be a number one guy made available. I think the Baltimore Ravens could pick up a piece as a wide receiver, depending upon who's available or who comes available. And they may add another piece at the offensive line position. But those really are the areas I see them maybe picking up a piece here or there. But don't see a lot of news happening for the Ravens between now and then. So man, let me know what you guys want me to know, man, about what you learned from the Baltimore Ravens off-season workouts. Who stood out? Who are you excited to see in 2024? And man, stay tuned, man. I got some good content. Some content you probably won't find anywhere else on the internet. Some conversational pieces, man, as we go into the dark area of the off season where there's not much going to be happening. There's be nothing on field happening. You'll probably see some off season workouts with Lamar and some dudes or whatever, but it won't be any real news. And so, man, we're kind of on a 6-week sabbatical until training camp starts. So, man, I'm your guy Boulanger. This is the GM, and we're out.